Alrighty, guys, our next guest you might have been able to catch on the Today Show, the Food Network TV show Chopped, the Jay-Z of barbecue, Phil the Grill Johnson. Welcome.
Yo, what's up, my buddy?
What's going on, man?
Man, chilling like a villain, baby. You know, doing my thing, getting the restaurant, getting the Trapp all set up and organized. You know.
Nice. How's the weather down there today? Up here in Utah, it's kind of ugly.
Yo, bro, man, I don't know what's going on. We had rain for the last 5 days straight. We had a little hail and rain and downpours. I thought I lived in the desert, bro. I don't know what's going on
right now. Cool, man. Let's introduce everyone to you. You're Phil the Grill. You came from the East Coast, and you kind of did a lot of woodwork construction over there, and you kind of drifted into barbecue. Tell us how that all began.
Yeah, being from the East Coast, I always had a love for cooking. I was making French toast when I was 4 or 5 years old. I was always following my grandmother around, when is dinner time, when is lunch time, and she was like, yo, just get in here and help me with it. And so that, being able to just feed myself and cook a meal, it was always awesome to me, creating things, with my hands. That was the biggest thing. And then my uncle, he kind of taught me custom cabinets. I started there young at 14 years old, making, custom furniture with him. And again, just the joy of putting things together with your hands and sitting back and kind of enjoying what you put together. It's definitely my passion and my love, But yeah, being on the East Coast and being from New York, that's not where traditional barbecue is from, air quote. But, I'm here to break that, that whole terminology because, I'm just so tired. And this is why I jumped on the scene so hard. But I'm just so tired of just that whole traditional, barbecue scene. You have to be from Texas or Memphis or Kansas City to know about barbecue. I'm get out of here, man. We're in 2020 right now.
Right.
Throw those old recipe books away, man. That traditional recipe, man. And get your own recipe. Stop following everybody. Stop being a copycat, man. Be original.
Right. That's totally facts, And what's crazy is with that whole East Coast thing, I was teaching a class last summer and I had some people from New York. I asked them, I was like, hey, you got barbecue? Oh yeah, we have amazing barbecue. And then they came to my class and I gave them some barbecue. We're we don't have barbecue like this. It's really weird how the West Coast has different barbecue than the East Coast. I don't know what the break is, but we all have the same, like you said, we have the same recipes, just be different. So it's just weird how I even have that in my head. New York doesn't have barbecue. They're more high-end French style cuisine.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And, growing up with so many different ethnic backgrounds in New York, right? I grew up around Jamaicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. I mean, everybody got their own flavor, so there's so many different dishes and I kind of blended them together and came up with my own signature flavor. So I call it freestyling. This is my freestyle barbecue. I created my own style.
Yeah. Man, everything comes from New York, man. Freestyle rapping, freestyle barbecue.
Is that where the Jay-Z of barbecue came from?
No, I'll tell you where Jay-Z of barbecue came from. But go back to this freestyle, right?
Sure.
So I did grow up in the mecca of, in the Bronx. And I was there and I saw the whole rap thing evolve. And with a freestyle, right? If you kick a freestyle, you got to always stay a sentence ahead. What's your punchline going to be? So it's just like cooking, right? What complements each other? What's going to complement the line that I just hit before? What's going to complement, this black pepper and the salt in this brisket? What's going to complement? And it's freestyle barbecue, baby.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But no, the Jay-Z of barbecue, it was funny, right? So, I wish I recorded it, but I didn't know it right from wrong at that time anyway. But I met, so I had a food truck at this point, and I was like, I really need some hardware so I could say I got award-winning barbecue. So I go down to my local supply center, and I ran into Cam, Bam Bam's Barbecue out in Utah. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And he kind of told me hey, Phil, they got these barbecue comps. There's one coming up in Lake Havasu. You should join and blah blah blah. I was like, oh, cool, yeah. Hey, you know what? Let me go. So I pull up to the Lake Havasu comp. Me and my New York friends, right? Two other of my homeboys. We come out of this like RV tour bus for the first time. We got like Timbos on and shorts. And I got my grills and my smokers out, and these guys are like, who are these guys, right? So I'm cooking, and I'm doing my thing, and during turn-in, I got Jay-Z blasting, right, in my little tent. And somebody was like, hey, Jay-Z, will you turn that crap down over there? We're trying to concentrate over here, right? So anyway, sitting at the award ceremony, and I'm not expecting, it's my first comp, right? So I'm not expecting to get no call. And then next thing you know, you hear, fourth place, build a grill and chicken. I was like, what? I was like, oh, okay. And then the next thing I know is like, third place, pork. Hey, I was like, what? Oh, what is this? I was like, wow. And so now I'm just so hyped and psyched. So the guys that was next to me and told me to turn that crap down, they was like, well, I guess we might as well call you the Jay-Z of barbecue now. And that's how the Jay-Z of barbecue got affiliated with Phil the Grill.
Nice. I got to feel that, though, man, because I play my music loud at comps, too.
I was about to say that, like, I like being next to Anthony, but I don't at the same time, because there's only like so much Sheena Easton you can listen to. Full blast. And by the way, that's zero amount of Sheena Easton you can listen to at full blast.
No, man, I'm a hip hop head. It's nothing but hip hop coming out of there.
I know.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So the funny thing with that was so I go down to Georgia. It was a barbecue comp. I went to go pick up a trailer. I went to go buy one of those barbecue trailers. So I went to pick it up, went across the country to go pick it up. And I was like, hey, why don't I hit a barbecue comp? It was barbecue, watermelon, something in Kennesaw, Georgia. So I'm there, and I'm cooking. And then so Sunday, I got, it was like a Sunday turn-in or something like that, I think. But anyway, I got my music blasting, and so there was a little bit of curse words on this song that I was listening to, and the guys was like, oh, this is the Lord's Day. We would really appreciate if you would turn that down. Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely in the Bible Belt now. I was like, all right.
Listen to some 2 Live Crew or something.
Right?
Yeah. So no, it's definitely, but that gets you in your zone, right? You cooking, you want to feel good, you're getting, your meat's off, you're trying to get in your zone. And, that just, being from New York, that's what I grew up on. And that's kind of, it's, hip hop is a lifestyle, bro. It's not just a thing of music. It's, it's a lifestyle. So, it's a part of me, just like I'm a black man that loves hip hop. Like, it's a lifestyle. It all goes together.
Yeah. Have you seen that Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix?
I love that show.
I'm almost done with it.
I love that show.
That's a good one.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. Definitely. And so that was like who I grew up with. So I grew up in the Bronx. My parents bought a house in Long Island. One of my friends was a rap artist, Rakim. And so we was always, on stage or backstage and like meeting different people like Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One. And it was just like, so it was, you were there and just seeing it like all evolve, to what we call hip hop now.
Yeah, like when I first started my barbecue team, I came up with "Smoke Ain't No Joke," and I always used the little punchline. If you don't know, now you know. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's not my line, I'll never claim that line ever. But I used it.
Nice. It's all good. It's all good, man. But again, that's how I incorporated my line of barbecue. It's a freestyle barbecue that I put together from different flavors that nobody's using. Being from my hood, my end of the world. But I love. Now, don't get me wrong. Totally grew up in the East. You can't have the West without the ES. But I love the West now. I'm out in the West. I'm loving it. Nice. I'm loving the love. I'm loving the love and everything that's going on out here for me.
Yeah, cool. Well, but we'll get it back into a little bit. We're going to hit the rewind, but about your competition. Rusty has your barbecue data pulled up, and man, you have a lot of stuff underneath your belt. Let's talk about some keynote events that you have, man. Let's talk about what you had going on. Like, looks like you started on the KCBS in 2013, so you were in it for a minute.
Yes. And that was that Lake Havasu was one of my first comps that I went out to and competed at. So yeah, and get my name called. And then it went kind of quiet for a little bit. I guess I got too ahead of myself, and then I wanted to be like, a scientist, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and what temperature and how long and this, and then I was like, I'm not baking a cake, man. I'm freaking cooking good barbecue. So I was like, yo, it just brought me back to like my grandmother and my great grandmother and my mom, and like, how they cook, right? They cook and they open like the temple, they cook in a roast, they kind of like touch it, the feel, the look. And not in there like with a time clock, like, oh, I put this in at 9 o'clock and around 10 o'clock and this. So after I left all of that alone and just started cooking, that's when I started, hitting again and winning awards. And I believe I was team of the year in ribs in Arizona in like 2014 or 15, something like that. And I won second place at the Invitational at the Royal, and like it was just happening for me so fast. And that's what I linked back to. It's just keeping it simple and just doing some great cook.
Yeah, 2014, man, you crushed it. So we were just down in Arizona, and I have this theory that Utah and Arizona just don't mix, because, I mean, we can come up here, we can go to Colorado, we can go to Montana, we can do comps here, and we do really well. We go to Arizona, and all Utah teams just tank. And we're just in Bullhead City, and that was the case. It was like, oh, man. What? And so, like, doing well in Arizona, that's obviously your thing. You live there. Do you think there's a regional, flavor for competitions? And does it vary state to state, do you think?
It totally goes. I mean, I've seen it evolve, right? And I've seen it like midstream. I feel like, and I hope I'm not saying nothing wrong, right? But this is just my view. So it's my opinion. I feel like this is probably the hardest time to get in the barbecue comps right now, because so many people, like the whole Yelp thing, right? Everybody's a judge, everybody's, and I don't really feel that people are doing the judging the way they're supposed to, not off of their taste and what they like. It's how well it was cooked and prepared, right? So it's, the appearance, taste, tenderness, you know what I mean? And they're like, well, I don't like this, that's not one of the answers for being a judge, Was it cooked well? Did it have a good flavor? Even though you might not like something. Like, I spoke to one judge, and she's like, oh, yeah, I don't really like chicken on the bone. Well, what are you doing judging chicken? You don't like chicken on the bone. What are supposed to people put in there? They're supposed to put chicken fingers in a box? Like, what are you supposed to put in there? Like, but again, I just feel like it's not so much regional. I feel like it's the type of judges, and when, you got, the more experienced judges to like, oh, hey, we're having this big comp. Can you help us judge? And now you got, a lot of inexperienced judges. I really feel that is what kind of creates or crush the game at any of these comps right now. I felt like there was a lot more certified judges way back when, to where now I don't feel like there's so many followings too, following along on that.
Right. Yeah. Like, we talked to Chris Marks a couple episodes back, and he kind of touched about that, like judging back 10, 15 years ago is completely different than now. As a cook, you could put in there kind of whatever you want, whatever flavor profile you want. But today it seems like it has to be extremely consistent. Everybody has to be, all our chicken has to look the same. Brisket, we mix it up a little bit, but those judges are looking for almost the same. Nothing unique. Cause
Yes.
I think us cooks
Exactly.
we want to cook something unique, but we have so much money invested in this. We're nervous to do that because we don't want to be like, oh,
Of course,
you know,
of course. And that kind of like cookie cuts everybody, right?
yeah,
You know, because if you want your cook to be good, you want your cook to, you know, have your own flavor profile. And that's kind of what evolved me, you know, it kind of brought me to the table when everybody was following. So I'll tell you, I got my feelings hurt a little bit. Like I said, I hit at my first comp, and then I kind of simmered down. And I asked somebody, I was like, yo, what am I doing wrong? You know, as far as like, you know, why am I not getting my name called anymore? It was a more of an experienced team at this point. And he said, what rubs are you using? I was like, I got my own. He's like, well, that's the problem right there. He's like, oh, you got to use another person's rub that's winning and hitting. And I was like, oh, okay. But I took that home and I was like, why am I going to use somebody else's rub? I was like, now I'm relying on that person to stay in business so I can cook my good barbecue. I'm like, yo, that didn't make sense to me. It didn't help me at all. So I was like, yo, you know what? I'm going to still go with what I got. And, you know, I feel like it's more of a hobby. Yes, everybody wants to win. But I feel like, yo, I only go to about 2 comps a year. And it's the one in Sholo that I love. That's my homeboy, Cowboy Way. I go to his comp, and then I go to the Royal, you know. But it's just to have fun. It's just to see people and drink some beer. If I get a call, I get a call. If not, because I feel like it's so choppy right now to, you know, get calls and stuff. I mean, even the last time I went to the Royal, it was crazy because I think this was my view again. A lot of people that normally get their name called at the Royal did, right? This is what I took it. And everybody at the Royal knew that Kansas City is known for sweet barbecue. Like, you got to candy coat the barbecue, right?
yeah.
It was amazing. A lot of the teams that did get called were all from, like, the Spanish descent. Like, so you had, like, the Mexican, New Mexico teams and things like that. And they use spice. So I was like, I wonder if spice is now in the menu on the at the Royal, because a lot of these guys, you know, they was making it extra sweet, you know, adding more sweet. So I was like, yo, you know what? I was a fool to follow that trend. I'm going to just give them what I normally give them at all my comps and use my own technique. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But I had a good time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not change it for just, you know, a certain region or a certain, you know, again, you know, you feel you have good barbecue and stick to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I think with like the Royal, with judging, you're starting to get a lot more judges throughout the United States that want to go judge that. So I think the palette is changing out of Kansas City. It's not just Kansas City local. You're getting people from all over the country that are like, I want to judge the Royal. So they're running and getting signed up. So the palette probably changed a lot. And it's going to happen here in Utah. We're ready to introduce, I think our next class is 30 new judges right before the barbecue season. So there's going to be a whole new palette profile just in our area as well.
No, definitely. And, you know, and I appreciated that because, again, I know that was my thing. I was kind of sweetening up my sauce and things like that just for the Royal. But, I mean, I even talked to Tuffy. We met at we wound up being at the same restaurant after. I was like, yo, Tuff, I got my ass kicked. He was like, me too. He's like, me too. But, and I'm again, we didn't talk about what we did different, but I just know that was, you know, the key for success at the Royal was to sweeten up your stuff. But this year, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm just gonna go with my regular flavor profile, and if it hits, it hits, and if it don't, because like you said, I really feel there's a mixture of new judges coming from all over to judge that, and you don't have to just cook for that particular region anymore.
Right. Are you hitting up Sholo this year?
Yes, definitely gonna hit up Sholo this year. Looking forward to it. I always have fun out there. And then now they're mixing these state competitions in with the local groups. And, shout out to my boy Smitty. But, I'm like, man, I could cook a delicious steak, but, man, there's scientists to this cooking a steak on the grill, man.
Right? Right?
I was like, yo, you can't come in here with no Root Chris mentality. You gotta have the science down.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a steak. I was like, yo, I'm gonna just join to keep the steaks and eat them myself. I was like, I ain't even gonna
right? Yeah. I signed up for everything down there. I'm doing the steak. We're doing all the things. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, since we're talking about that event, let's plug that a little bit. When is that exactly? What's the date on that event?
You know what?
It's April 30th. April 30th, May 1st.
Okay.
And they're doing a KCBS comp, and then on Friday they're doing a SCA comp at the same time. I believe there's a kids queue. There's a couple of things. I don't know if they have any ancillaries, but yeah, it's pretty low key. I've never been to Sholo, so I heard it's cool. I heard it's a great event. I know a lot of people make it out on purpose to do just to get out there.
Bro, listen, Cowboy John, he does the event. But Ryla, his wife, her green chili. Oh man, every in the morning they do this whole what do you call it? Cast iron chili and burritos, green chili. Oh man, I can't wait for that cowboy bell to ring so I can go over there and get my green chili burrito.
Nice.
That's why I go. I just go for the green chili, bro.
You know.
That's it. But yeah, man, it's good. It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. You get to see people you haven't seen in a while. A lot of people, and it's just a great, cool event, and it's just turned Sholo into something. And I hear Cowboy John is actually running for mayor this year out in Sholo, so you might know a friend.
Yeah. It's always nice to have friends in higher places. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
To be clear, it's actually May 1st, May 2nd. I say April 30th because that's when we travel. So just so everyone knows, it's on May 1st, May 2nd.
That's what I thought. I thought it's usually in May, but in the beginning, beginning of May.
Yeah, signing up's really easy too. If you guys want to sign up and head down, just online. It's pretty simple. Just go to KCBS or go to the State Cook-Off Association and sign up. So
nice.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
So you brought up Tuffy Stone. You recently ran into Tuffy Stone, Leanne, Susie Bullock from up here in Utah, Peg Leg Barbecue on a TV show. Hey. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your experience on that show and other shows that you've been on. Let's talk about the whole TV personality side of your barbecue.
I felt like I came a long way. I was like, so when Chop called me to be on Grill Masters way back, I was so at awe that I was actually up there standing in front of like the judges, like Amy Mills and a couple of the other chefs, and I was just like, So I just got stuck on like just being up there. But now I feel, cooking under pressure and the TV, the cameras and stuff is just, they're not in the way so much anymore. So I kind of felt like, again, keeping it simple and just being, cool and calm about, certain things. And I feel like I love it now. I love being on, TV performing and cooking under pressure and seeing what everybody else is going to bring to the table. But I tell you what, when we got into the green room, because nobody knew who was actually going to be on that Bobby Flay, Mike Simon barbecue brawl. When I ain't gonna lie, when I saw Tuffy and I was like, I know he's a judge. Why is he in the green room with us? And then I found out that he was like one of the competitors. I was like, bro, this is not going to work out. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I seen Joe from Slab's Barbecue. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got all these heavy hitters out here, man. I was like, I don't know, this seems like this is gonna be a first round knockout right here. I was like, yo,
hey, Leon Rippon's in there.
Yeah, I know. It was great, man. It was great. It was a lot of fun, and then just to interact and cook with like Bobby Flay and Mike Simon, and seeing them at work and seeing what they do at like with last minute. They cooked a whole chicken in 40 minutes, bro. In 40 minutes, a whole chicken.
I remember when that happened. We actually talked to Lene Oxley-Loop about that, because I was like, how'd they do that? She goes, they did it. And because there was a lot of drama about it after. Like, there's no way. That's TV. They cut it. You know?
Bro, I was sitting on the sidelines like, there's no way they're cooking a whole chicken. And they kept messing. Like, I'm like, first thing I would have did was throw some salt on that chicken and threw it on the grill, right? But they're still like, they're making sauce and marinades for it. And I'm like, bro, you only got 30 minutes. You better put that chicken, you better put that chicken on the grill, bro. But yeah, I mean, to see them under pressure and like, they don't worry about the clock. They only want to know when they're down to their last 10 minutes. Because like every time when they cook, Bobby Flay would be like, yo, what's my time? And he was only concerned about the last 10 minutes. I guess he had in his mindset, once I get to I'm going to do all the stuff I need to do. But once I hear I'm down to my last 10 minutes, then I know I need to focus on plating and getting everything kind of close to being done. But he didn't care about anything else. He was doing his thing, freehanding and doing everything else. But his last 10 minutes, then he just kept, what's my time? What's my time? So, but it was great cooking with all of those guys, man, and ladies as well. And just seeing all of the dishes that everybody was creating and putting to use. Because nobody had recipes. Nobody had no paper. Nobody had their cell phones. Like, oh, how many scoops of this do I put in my barbecue sauce? You had to remember it, bro. Like, you had to be like, oh, I guess it was 2 teaspoons of this, 1 tablespoon of that. That was the thing, So it was great to see everybody come, together. And Kev Bledsoe with his West Coast personality, Big Kev, shout out to him. And Leanne and Lene and Susie, and it was just great. And how can I forget Carrie? Carrie was the funniest dude on that show behind the scenes. He was just cracking us up in jokes and everything. And Big Lake Porker, man, that guy, he's amazing too. And what he's done in his city in Tennessee with his restaurant, it was great. It was a great experience. One of the best shows, and I'm sorry to say, but one of the best shows I've been on.
Nice. That was a really good one.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, we watched that one from day one. Obviously, Susie being a Utah celebrity, so we were all on board with that. But it was a great show. I like, and I hear it's come back for a second season, and I'm stoked. So that was a good one.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see who the competitors are. Going around. Yeah, okay. The people that I felt bad for on that show was the judges, right? You had Mo Kason, you had Amy Mills, and you had now I'm black out. I was gonna start with his name, Chris.
Chris Lilly.
Yeah, Chris Lilly.
Yeah, Chris Lilly. Sorry. I'm sorry, Chris. I saw your face. I couldn't remember the name. But anyway, the reason why I say that was because they got to judge Bobby Flay and Mike Simon. Iron chefs. So they're telling them, critiquing what they made and how they made it. I'm like, yo, these guys is like, yeah, okay. What's your culinary background right now? I actually, I mean, but it was, they were so humble and they were so cool with it. You know what I mean? And they were accepting of whatever they were told that they, needed to do more of. And Bobby Flay said, hey, you heard how they critiqued me and said I needed more sauce? Make sure you give them a little flavor. Make sure you turn up the heat. Let them know. That was his favorite line. He said, let them know you're here. Let them know you're here.
Yeah, it's funny because you could see those judges were digging for comments because you want to give a positive and a negative when you're judging there, right? So they were digging, you know, like they were looking in their mind, like, how do I do a negative on this?
Exactly. I know this perfect dish. Like, yo, I was like, yeah, that was the hard part. Yeah, I would say, yeah, but it was a great time.
So you go to all these shows. You're on US. You're on like some big shows. Like it's crazy. Like Al Roker, all that stuff.
Yep. And then I did Smoke. Then I competed with my homeboy Smitty, and we went neck to neck. It was all over our ribs, you know, and I lost to my ribs, and I was heartbroken because I swore I had Team of the Year in ribs in AZ, and I'm like, how did I lose in ribs to Smitty? Right? Not saying Smitty's ribs is not great, but mine are better.
The background to prove it. Yeah, the hard way to prove it.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm mine are better. So I was like, how did I do that? And it took me a little while to swallow it. No hard feelings or anything with Smith because that's my bro. But I felt a certain kind of way about that, like that I lost them ribs. And but yeah, I know he's a great cook, and I mean he's the giant. Like I was the rookie, you know, and he came from winning the Royal, you know, and before I was even invited, you know. Mm-hmm. So he won the Royal, I think that last summer, or that last time he just came back from winning the Royal, and you know, here I am saying like, yeah, I'll go to bat with, you know, David and Goliath, you know. Oh yeah, I'll poke him. I don't care. Come on, Smith, you know. And that's been always my thing. I'm always looking for the big dude, the one that's got their game to go, because that helps sharpen your skills too. You know, cooking with Smith and seeing how he operates and does things and how he presents things, and you know, that's been my bro since I got on the barbecue circuit. You know, his family, my family is very close, and I love him like a brother. And there was this one time. Okay, I gotta tell you this story, and this is. And now it's gonna be public, so Smitty can't tell it behind closed doors anymore.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is usually the story we tell at the fire pits when we're, you know, all having drinks and stuff at the Royal. Right? So there's two stories. I'm only gonna tell you one though. I'll let one still be a fire pit story. So in the beginning, I start out with a Green Mountain Grill, and then I go and I go back to Bam sells me a fast Eddie, a 100 or whatever, right? So FE 100. So I got this fast Eddie, and I bring it out to a barbecue comp. I'm thinking Bullhead, but this was the big ones, like for 50,000 at one time or whatever. So I'm actually got my ribs on, and I checked my ribs, and I didn't lock my shelf in the groove. So when I pulled it, all the ribs hit the floor. Right? So Smitty, I didn't really know him at the time. Smitty comes like, bro, yo, you're right. Hey, listen, I still got some ribs. You can throw these on. You still got time to cook it. And this was the love. Cowboy John came by. Vince came by to, you know, kind of, you know, give me some pointers. Now, meanwhile, in the beginning as a rookie, I probably had 10 slabs of ribs. So I lost one rack. I had another like 5 still in there. You know, when you're a rookie, you cook like so many different ribs and like 4 butts and like 3 briskets because you don't know any better. But anyway, I dropped my ribs. I still had another rack. I'm like, guys, I'm fine. I got another rack of ribs or whatever. So then Smitty smirks and was like, I think we need to start calling you Phil the Spill.
Oh, man.
He jokes with me now. He's like, yo, Phil the Spill. So, yeah. So, when I dropped my ribs at the barbecue comp, I inherited another name, which is Phil the Spill.
Oh man. Hey, for all you rookie cooks out there, so you don't have to bring as much as Phil did.
Exactly.
Just do a couple practice cooks and take notes on what you really need before you go to a comp. And so you
exactly. Unless you're gonna drop a whole rack on the floor, and then you might need some backup.
Yeah.
But you know, it was at a Sholo comp, and I was cooking next to Darren Ward, and I was like looking at what Darren brought, and I'm like, bro, you got this little baby rack of ribs, and you got like these two little baby rack of ribs, and that's all you cooking? And he's like, Phil, how many ribs do you need to turn into a box? How many ribs you put into a box? He's like, 6. He's like, so I brought the right amount. Like, that's all I'm cooking.
Oh man.
He's like, why do I need to bring? He's like, why do I need to bring 6 slabs of ribs if I only got to put 6 bones in a box?
And he's like,
and I was like,
I just don't get it wrong. I just don't mess it up.
Oh man, scary.
I was like, and then it dawned on me. I was like, you're right. He's like, you know which ones you're gonna cut and you're gonna kind of put into your box, which ones you always pretty much select. So why bring the extras? Just bring what you need. And then ever since then, I was like, hey, you know what? And it's been great. I've been bringing just the amount that I need to turn into the box. You know, maybe a little extra. I'll do 2 pork butts. You know, but that's about it. You know, right. I got just a simple math for what I'm going to put in the box. Ready to go.
Yeah, because when I go to comps too, we're taking like 24 pieces of chicken, 3 racks of ribs, 2 butts, and 1 brisket. That's pretty much what I take.
I take more pork butt because I really like the mutton muscle. I have to have options.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't take that much chicken anymore. I only take 9 pieces now, so that's it. Yeah. I'm down to 9.
See, and that's where I'm at too. I'm at 9 pieces. Yep, I'm at 9 pieces.
Well, I don't do chicken anymore either. So,
so I'm in the pack. You know, now I might grab a few packs because you know some of them are gnarly when you start opening the pack. But yeah, what I bring is only like 9 pieces. You know, 9 pieces, a nice flat, a nice point, and two trimmed up butts, and that's it. And I do bring 4. I bring 4 racks. I bring 4 racks of ribs. You know, but when I saw Darren with 2 racks of baby ribs, like he had 2 racks with 6 bones in each rack. I'm like, bro.
I've always thought about cooking baby backs at comps. I've never done it, but I thought about it.
I did it once. You know, I'm always and I get joked at all the time because I'm always trying to do some extra over the top. So I did a St. Louis cut, and then I put the baby backs on top, and that was a heavy box. Like them judges ate because I gave them 6 bones at the bottom and then six bones of baby backs on top, and like that box was full. That box was full.
I struggle getting 6 in sometimes with some spares, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had it trimmed right. I practiced it at home, but yeah, I had it trimmed. It was a nice box, but you know, for all that trouble to get like a 10th place call, I was like, yo, you know what? I'm going back to my regular St. Louis.
Right. So you do the competitive circuit, you come out to Arizona, and then you start your own food truck and then on into a restaurant. So talk to us about that. How'd that come about?
Yeah. So I moved to Arizona when the housing market kind of got low. I was a subcontractor for custom kitchens and baths and things. And when I moved out to Arizona, I was subcontracting for Home Depot. And I thought the housing market was going to start, tanking here too. It was probably like the end of 2007 or something like that. And I was like, yo, you know what? I got to make some supplementary income. And I didn't want to go get a job at like Walmart and give out smiley stickers at the door. So I I bought a food truck. So I bought a Snap-on tool truck. I was like, hey, if I could build a house, I could build a food truck. The same stuff inside, sink and electricity, tables. So I bought a Snap-on tool truck, for like about $5,000. I invested like another like $15,000, and I was like, when I don't have any jobs lined up. You know, if Home Depot can't give me a job this week, I'll go run the streets with my my food truck, and it became a hit. And I started doing events, and I started hitting up the valley. I was the top 10 food truck in the valley. I forgot what year it was. It must have been like 2012 or 13 or something like that. But I was the top 10 food truck. It was called Sandwiches. And it was all types of different barbecue sandwiches. I had brisket, smoked brisket made into a Philly cheesesteak with the onions and peppers and the cheese whiz on top, and the Boss Hog. It's brisket and pulled pork with coleslaw on top, and I just created different sandwiches, and it was becoming a big hit. And different food events was loving me and stuff like that. And the number one question: where are you located? Where are you located? Where are you located? Where are you located? And I was like, follow me on Instagram. Follow me where I'm going to be at next. But yeah, so I always wanted to open up a little small restaurant serving some great barbecue. I felt like I had my own flavor profile that can't be matched, right? So when I was putting my whole business plan together, I was like, everybody hates McDonald's and everybody hates Burger King, and nobody says they really eat there, but they're always in business. You don't really see them closing down. But the one thing about McDonald's, you could only go to McDonald's and get those McDonald's fries, right? You only can get those fries. They have signature taste, signature flavors. I need to create my own signature flavor. So that's where I started experimenting into my own rub and my own sauce, because you could get good barbecue, or you could get barbecue anywhere, but you could only get Philly crack wings from the Trapp House, and that's because it's my flavors, it's my sauce, and people love that. They're like, oh yeah, you could go to Wingstop, but there's not going to be the same type. And even if I gave you the recipe to follow, it's the technique, it's the flavor, it's knowing what to do and how to make the wings come out like I do. So that's kind of what I followed, and it's doing great now. I'm going in March. I hit my second year anniversary, so I'm starting into my going into my third year now, and people are loving it. And now they're saying, you need a bigger space. You need to expand. You need to open up another one. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this one is already kicking my butt. I don't know about doing this twice. I don't know if I have the life expectancy for another one.
Yeah, those wings look fire. I'm not gonna lie. You cooked them on barbecue brawl too, and I was like, whoa, it's a whole nother level.
Yes. No, and and that's the thing. It's like, my rub. Shout out to Amy at Old World Spice. I actually gave her my rub and my recipe, and she's now bringing it to a national market for me. And I love it because it's in my rub. There's some wild cards in there that nobody's really cooking with, and
Nice.
Again, it comes from my being in New York and dealing with all of the ethnic backgrounds that we dealt with, and and putting all those flavors together. Nothing is overpowering. Nothing you're gonna get and be like, wow, oh, this is too strong of this. It's all a nice blend, and it's all well put together. That's been my name of my game on anything that I cook. Everything should complement each other. Nothing should stand out on anything that you cook, except the meat itself. You know what I mean? That's the main event.
Yep. So what city is your restaurant in, just so people know if they're cruising through there?
So a New York City boy has their restaurant in downtown Phoenix. So I'm in the heart of downtown Phoenix, 511 East Roosevelt. It's great because as I was finishing up my construction career, I was working on a couple of projects in downtown Phoenix, and I was just seeing the growth because downtown Phoenix was so underdeveloped since I got here in like 2000 and the end of 2007. And now they're really, building up, putting a lot of high rises and condos and, new office buildings and things like that. And it's really come to light. And I saw that coming on as I saw like different projects because, we would have construction meetings about other things that was going to go on in downtown and just the growth. So I was there working projects about 4 years prior to opening downtown. And I was like, placement of the restaurant is definitely one thing that placement of the restaurant is one thing that's going to be major. So I was like, I wanted to make sure when I opened my doors, people were going to come in and not like, here's my grand opening and you see a tumbleweed, come in your doors and nobody's ready to come in because you're in such a rural place. So that's really what helped me out a lot. And then once you get people in and they taste your food and they know that it's, you're serious about your craft, it helps, or, it's history in the making right there, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've been in Arizona quite a bit lately. I need to stop in. It's just been always there for a competition, and I get all like nerves and
he's all right.
You get all busy, and you're like, crap, we didn't go.
Well, I have in-laws down there, and
I'm going. So I'm going again. So I have to just stop in. But you got everything. You got the sandwiches from the truck. You can do sliced meats down there. You can do platters, ribs, beef ribs, freaking.
And one thing everybody loves too, we cure our own pastrami in the house, and I've been told from people that I admire in the cooking game, it says, Phil, you have one of the best pastrami's I've ever tasted. That's no joke. And for people, the ones that have told me that, I have, like I said, I admire them. They have been my go-tos when I had questions and things. And from me hearing that, I was like, I felt good. I felt real good about that. I'm really putting out a good product. You know what I mean? So, but at Sholo, we do have the first night we have what do you call that? A potluck. So maybe I'll bring the Philly crack wings to the table out there. So we'll try that.
Oh man, that would be the best. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Man, I haven't got into too much of the pastrami game, man. Like my pastrami game is just what is it? The Crown Burger. Here, it's a burger with pastrami on the top. I haven't ventured out on that world yet too much.
Pastrami is my jam. I love it.
It's good. It's good, man. The fattiness of the pastrami and the flavor. So I test people all the time. Like, when I'm at the restaurant, and it's not crazy, I'll go up to different tables and like, how was everything? I was like, did you see the pastrami on the menu? And people say, yeah, I see it, but I'm not a fan of pastrami. I was like, oh, okay. I go slice off a piece and give it. They're like, what? That wasn't pastrami? Right? Because everybody thinks it's a deli cut meat.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, no, the homemade pastrami is a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? It's a whole different ball game.
Maybe that's what I need to get into. Try some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we do a Reuben, and it's done just like, the old Jewish deli in New York, with the marble rye bread, buttered toasted with coleslaw and some Thousand Island dressing, Russian dressing, and it's to die for. So
dude, that's my jam right there. Everywhere I go, I have to try a Reuben. So my wife even knows it. We'll go into a place, and the first thing she'll say, "Oh, they have a Reuben." I'm like, "All right, close the menu."
So my question is, I've had Reubens, and I'm not a big fan of I guess the ones I've had usually have the traditional little bit of sauerkraut in there, and I hate that stuff. But what makes what makes a good Reuben? Is it the pastrami or is it the rye bread?
The sauerkraut is what makes a good Reuben. You're crazy.
Yeah. So here's what I did. Right. I like sauerkraut because I'm from New York. Right. But I prefer my sauerkraut on a nice kosher hot dog like Nathan's or Hebrew National with some mustard, some spicy brown mustard. That's my jam all day, right? But I know a lot of people don't like sauerkraut, right? So why put something on your menu that a lot of people don't like? I do this honey jalapeno coleslaw, right? So I make a honey jalapeno coleslaw. have my homemade pastrami sliced down, and I do a buttered toasted marble rye, and all of those flavors just married together with the toasted butter, bread, and then the jalapeno coleslaw and the pastrami, and then you got that little $1,000 dressing on. Oh my goodness, bro! Like that's the best Reuben. So what I'm doing for St. Patty's Day, right? So we also have on the menu. It's called a macro, not mackerel like the fish. A mac roll. So it's
mac and cheese.
It's mac and cheese. Yep. So it's a mac and cheese and smoked brisket, and it's wrapped in a egg roll, and then we, fry it, and we serve it with, little dipping sauce, and everybody loves that. So for St. Patty's Day, what I'm doing is a Reuben, but I'm wrapping it into an egg roll.
All right, just text the wife to get the kids in the car. So I'll see you in a minute.
Yo, Phil. So you're gonna have to make that again in a couple of weeks and call it like the Pitmaster feature because St. Patty's is tomorrow. This ain't gonna air for a minute.
Is it really tomorrow?
Yeah. Isn't it?
I don't know.
No, it's Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so you might need to run like as seen on the Pitmasters a couple, or something, just to plug it again. Because people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh, I need one. And it's going to be already passed. It's going to be too late.
It already passed. It's all good. It's all good, man.
So if you're hearing this now, wait till next year when you can go get a Reuben roll.
Reuben. Yo, or if you come down, we always have that. We always have the ingredients. So speak to my guy, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind making that on a fly for you as a secret menu item.
There you go. There you go.
Might feel better now.
Yeah.
I feel better. Well, cool, man. What do you got coming up that everyone can look forward to?
Well, there is a show that hasn't really announced itself yet, but there is a show that second season is coming out this year. It's actually a Canada-based show, but it is showing in the States. So I'll look for me on that. There's a couple of interviews I did for some magazines, and there might be a cookbook in the making.
Oh, snap.
Kind of telling my background story and, why my recipes are my recipes and, kind of putting that out there. So those are the things for 2020, and then just, really focusing on the Trapp House and trying to make it grow, and just kind of serve great barbecue. Because the one thing about food, food makes people happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like everybody deals with so much day-to-day stuff. There's nobody out here right now that's not dealing with something, and just coming out to an establishment and, family and have a good meal and spend time with your, family. It's amazing how that can make you feel so good and forget about what is really troubling you. You know what I mean? And, and I that's why, I stay focused on what I'm doing in my craft, is because at the end of the day, it was a time where, the restaurant was like really beating me up, and it was just, a real struggle. But when people come back and they say, yo, Phil, I'm so glad you're here. I love this place. Thank you for being in the community and just sharing love. Now you have a responsibility.
Right.
You have a responsibility, because now you're bringing joy to people, and that makes me feel good, at the end, of the day. It's not just all about the dollar, but it's helping the community grow, and people are loving it as a place to just get away from their day to day. So I love it. I love what I do, man. I love what I do, and I love doing it, and I love going out there and competing and, playing around and stuff. But yeah, it's my thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's way awesome. And you know what makes me happy is that if you were to bring those rolls to Sholo, that,
Man, you're asking a lot, Rusty. You want wings?
He shouldn't say these things then. I can't control myself.
Yo, Phil, you can make a box of all this stuff, and then you could sell it to Rusty probably for $100, and he'll pay
more than that.
So Rusty, here's the deal. If you help me roll them, well, I'll bring them. You help me roll them. My daughter's a pro at them. Like rolling, making the macros and rolling them up. But if you help me roll them, I'll bring them. I did it for another comp, and man, it was like I brought a platter. It was a comp that was downtown. It wasn't too far from the Trapp House, so I just had them pre-made and brought to the Trapp House, and I just brought them on a big platter. Man, that platter went in like seconds.
Oh man, I bet. Yeah, I'd be down for that. I'd be down to roll some rolls.
Yeah, get your twist on.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm down, dude. I'm down.
Man, I might have to jump in the car with you to go to Sholo and just pick the SEA, just to be a part of this experience.
Exactly. Yo, with Phil's macros and then with Roller's green chili in the morning, we're gonna be eating good that weekend.
I'm all about that life. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, where can people find you when they want to look you up and get all the information they can from you?
Yeah, you know what? My social media is Phil the Grill 1. Yes, I have a number 1 by it. Somebody that has a Phil the Grill that don't even use it, but yeah, I'm Phil the Grill 1 on any social media handle. The restaurant is under Trapp Haus, TRAPPHAUS. And I'm on that, and you can just go to the website too, philthegrill.com and trapphausbarbecue.com as well. So
awesome,
just hit me up if there's any events, anything anybody wants to do collabos with. I'm actually slacking because there are a couple of good friends that we're supposed to be doing some collabos, but I know they're busy and my schedule's busy. But those are the best times is when two great cooks get together and do like some collaboration. It allows people to come out and see you and kind of know what you're about and things like that. So so that's what. And then I'll be in the Green Mountain tent at the American Royal this year.
Oh, cool! Awesome, awesome. Well, hey man, we really appreciate you coming on. Or go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say. And then keep looking out. The name of my spice rub is called Rub Me All Over. Amy did make me change. If you know of the first label, so here's a kicker right here. So the first label was a cartoon of me throwing spice rub on a pig and giving her a massage, and it was a lady pig.
Oh no!
So Amy's like, that ain't gonna work. So the label has changed now, and it's just the Phil the Grill logo, and it says "Rub Me All Over," but it's the same ingredients inside. Trust me.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. We appreciate your time, man. We've been fans, watching you and doing your thing. So we appreciate the time you took to come and chat with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah. And guess we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yep.
Sounds good, bro. Sounds good. Can't wait. Can't wait.
We'll see you soon.